I'm James Demer, the audio nomad, and before we get into today's review of the HIDIZS AP80 Pro Max, I want to remind you that we're doing a giveaway for every review video that I make and release. Simply pin to the top in the comments, and if you see your name, it means you won. Someone will get in touch with you about the amazing prize that you'll win, which will be something awesome, because it's always something awesome. Maybe you came here for the giveaway, or maybe you came here for the HIDIZS AP80 Pro Max review. So let's just get into this review. This is the HIDIZS AP80 Pro Max. It's a DAP, digital audio player. This one's in a nice little leatherette case. It's actually quite a nice case. This is the first digital audio player, or DAP, that I've had in a long time, but it's by no means the first. The first digital audio player I ever bought was, I think it was in 2004, maybe even earlier. It was a Creative Nomad, and it looked like a CD player. It was big. It was, the size of a big CD, like portable CD player. And I don't remember what the storage size was, but it didn't hold a ton of music. And I believe it only played MP3 files, maybe WAV and MP3. And what I would do is I would download music, usually illegally, from sources, and put them on this Creative Nomad and listen to music, and it was a lot of fun. Then I ended up getting a Microsoft Zune, I think it was called, or Zuni. That never really worked that well. That thing was kind of a pile of garbage. The best one that I had was an iRiver, this black 40 gigabyte, I think it was 40 gig iRiver, 60 gigabyte maybe, that you could jailbreak with Rockbox. And that thing was super awesome, held a bunch of music, took a bunch of files, and worked really well. Then somewhere along the line, I caved, and I finally got an iPod Classic. I think I had an iPod Color Classic. I had a bunch of iPods, and those were great too. They're all DAPs. That's all that old technology is. It's a digital audio player. And I think for me, the reason that I got away from using DAPs is because I got an iPhone. Certainly not my first phone either. And did the BlackBerry thing, did all kinds of crazy phones before I got into the Apple infrastructure, architecture, cult, whatever you want to call it. But when the iPhone started to be able to play music that you could either put on it from the Apple Store or load on it on your own or stream it through Spotify, it sort of made the digital audio player feel like a thing of the past for me, not something that I needed anymore. So Heidi sent me this AP80 Pro Max, and I like it. It does some things that I didn't know that digital audio players do, and maybe they don't all, but this one does. And what it does in particular that I find incredibly useful is I can stream Qobuz through Wi-Fi. So as long as I'm in Wi-Fi range, which if I'm at my studio, or I am at my home, or I'm on an airplane, I can stream my favorite audio streamer of choice, which is Qobuz, Qobuz. This also does Tidal, which I don't use. It doesn't do Spotify. So if you're a Spotify user, you're kind of out of luck, and it seems like a big miss, but it's really cool. So you turn it on and you go to Qobuz and you select the little heart on the side, and that pulls up your favorite. So everything that you have saved on Qobuz, you're going to find on the HIDIZS AP80 Pro Max. I would imagine the same as with Tidal. It also accepts a micro SD card, so you can put your music on a micro SD card and insert it in the micro SD card slot. I don't have a lot of music anymore. I used to have hard drives full of music. They're somewhere, probably deep in a drawer. I moved on. I moved on from records. I moved on from my music on a hard drive. I got to dig those up. But I did find some music and I put it in the micro SD card. I think it was FLAC files. And the HIDIZS AP80 Pro Max played them beautifully. They were there. They were cataloged. So that's a nice thing about this little unit. Another thing you can do, apparently, is you can transfer music wirelessly from your computer to the device via Wi-Fi by entering, it's like an IP address on your computer. I actually played with that a little bit. I couldn't get it to work. I didn't try it too hard. My guess is it does work. It's something you probably have to mess around with, and maybe in future firmware revisions, they'll make it easier. I don't know. But if you're like a tech head and you like messing with stuff, that would be a fun thing to mess with. So you could put your music right on this device wirelessly. It has tons of power to drive headphones. It's got 3.5 and 4.4. And I found I even tried some over-ear headphones. I tried the Harmonic Dyne Baroque, which are not incredibly difficult to drive, but they're certainly harder to drive than an IEM. And this really had plenty of power to drive that headphone. My guess is it'll drive something much more needy, because I really didn't have to turn the volume up that much. The button controls are pretty simple. It's got this kind of big wheel on the top that you hold in for a few seconds and it turns the unit on, and then you see your choices: music, stream media, books. You can do books with it. If you're used to DAPs or any device that's in a small format that has a touch screen, my guess is the swiping structure would be fairly simple for you. You just get kind of used to it. You know, like my Osmo Pocket 3 is a bunch of swipes, and you just have to kind of learn which way to go. It takes a while for it to become intuitive, and I'd imagine with this device it would also take time to become intuitive. I never really got there with it, but that's okay. It does have some interesting features. It has an equalizer, which I actually didn't really play with. I just left it off. It has the kind of the bog standard brightness, time to turn display off, sleep shutdown, idle shutdown. You can limit USB current. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that. It has a lot of functions, and if you like messing with things and you have the time to put into changing settings so that it's exactly how you want it, then the sky's kind of the limit with this little device. There's a lot you can do. I forgot to mention, this is a collaboration between HIDIZS and LINSOUL. It's a HIDIZS X LINSOUL AP80 Pro Max. As you can see, you know, it's not a very big device. It's probably half the size of a deck of cards. I used it all day one day and didn't run the battery out, and I was streaming via Wi-Fi. I also walked all around my house. I walked outside of my house. The antenna for Wi-Fi must be pretty good in this little unit, because I never had a range issue. Granted, I never went out of range to really test that, but I did kind of walk around a fair bit and never had a problem with this disconnecting from Wi-Fi, which I thought was pretty cool. The build quality is very nice. I think it's all metal. It looks like all metal. It's kind of a space age shape. It's got interesting beveled edges and angles, and it's a nice looking device. And the case is also fairly nice looking. This one is, I'd call it a sage forest green. It's fairly stiff and it does fit the device quite well. It comes with a screen protector that you can put on. I didn't, because I was just leaving it in the case, but that's probably something you ought to do. Sound quality is really, really quite good. This is $190, I think, $189 at the high price. There's a Kickstarter coming up. I think it starts October 9th, and you'll be able to get early birds for less. Certainly a great value at $189, and for less than that, frankly, it's a steal. I did A/B back and forth using an iBasso dongle with my phone and a 4.4 prototype in-ear monitor that someone sent me, and the HIDIZS. I was kind of bouncing back and forth, and the reason I did that is because I could pull up the same song on Qobuz and have the volumes kind of equalized and use, basically kind of have hit go and have the same song playing at the same space. So it was a very, very quick plug one in, plug the other one in, plug one in, plug the other one in. And truthfully, I couldn't hear a difference. I actually had my wife do the old switcheroo with the cable from my phone to the HIDIZS, and I didn't know which was which. And I couldn't tell the difference. You know, when you're looking at the devices, I sort of felt like I could tell a little bit of a difference. I wouldn't say one necessarily sounded better than the other, but when it was a blind test, I actually couldn't tell a difference. So that's something to be said for the audio quality of this little sub $200 device. In summary, it's $200. It's very, very well built. It feels nice, you know, it has a nice weight in hand. It's not super lightweight. It's not too heavy, but it feels like it has some good heft to it. It's built on the HIDIZS firmware system, which I think is a good thing because HIDIZS is a big company and they do a good job with their firmware, so I'm told. I've actually never used the HIDIZS products, but I've heard a lot of people like them. I'd say grab one on the Kickstarter if you can. We'll put a link in the show notes to that Kickstarter. I would buy one simply for the streaming of Qobuz. It's a real gem. It's portable, plays all day, fits in your pocket, and it's a nice looking unit. I'm James Demer, the Audio Nomad. If you're a DAP user, you have comments about DAPs, or you want to let me know what your first DAP was, put it in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. This video is brought to you by LINSOUL.com. LINSOUL sells IEMs, headphones, amplifiers, digital to analog converters, cables, really just about anything you could want for personal hi-fi or even home hi-fi. Their prices are great, the quality is exceptional, and their customer service is really second to none. Check them out in the link below.